So there's a variety of classified strongest Superman forms. There's Superman Prime 1 million, who lived in the sun for thousands of years. There's a Milkman Man who was made by this crazy milk. And there's even Superboy Prime, who can just retcon reality. But there was always one in mind that I had above all. This is a video about light and darkness, a story about good and evil. This is the Thought Robot Explained. Okay, so the Thought Robot, or in other words, Cosmic Armor Superman, visually appears in only 2 issues, but what makes him so powerful and his abilities that he uses appears in so many other. But before we get into all that, I want to start on how and why Superman even got into this cosmic armor in the first place. So essentially, Lois Lane was in severe damage. Like, her heartbeat was about to go from 100 to 0. So then a being named Zilavala, whom is considered a monitor. And if you don't know what the monitors are, they're essentially beings who exist outside the multiverse, seeing it as a literal germ. And then they monitor it to prevent any crisis events. I go more in depth about the monitors in my DC video. Considering this is Cosmic Armor Superman, let's get back to the subject. So Zilavala tells Superman that there's a chance to save Lois Lane as long as he does one deed for her, that deed being protecting the multiverse from this enemy. If Superman does the job, they would then give Lois Lane something called the bleed. I guess it's kind of like this ultimate healing thing that heals no matter what, and only the monitors can hold it. So Superman of course accepts. So then they go on this humongous multiversal adventure, and it seems Zilavala has picked up other Superman across the multiverse to join them. In this adventure, they essentially crash land in a place called Limbo. In summary, Limbo is a realm that exists outside the multiverse and the sphere of gods. But inside Limbo is when Superman first got his ever details on this cosmic armor. You see, Limbo contains a book of infinite pages, written by a monkey on a typewriter. So when Superman and Shazam went to go read this book, they read about the origin of this armor. Essentially, before the multiverse, there is this blank void. Now, this isn't an ordinary void, it's a sentient one. And this sentient void is the comic book page. So when the writers wrote a multiverse on it, it was pretty confused. And what it did was it made a concept to seal away the multiverse, but it also made a concept to investigate it. What was sent to investigate it was the monitor known as Dax Novu. But Novu wasn't an ordinary monitor, he was the first. Okay, so this part's really important to the Cosmic Armor's creation. And Dax Novu was investigating the stories of the multiverse, he's seen Superman. Not only that, Novu's seen the monster that's coming. So he split himself in half, and what was left behind was armor shaped like Superman. Because when this Doomsday event happens, only Superman is the one capable of defeating this ultimate enemy. And that's because Superman's story is the greatest out of any hero's story in the multiverse. But unbeknownst to Novu, he was the one who became this monster. Dax Novu was infected by stories, and he became the villain known as Mandrakk, which is who Zilavala got Superman to protect reality against. Okay, but after Superman read this entire story, a huge explosion happened and both him and Shazam let go of the book. Shazam turned into a little kid again, and Clark asks the monitor, who is Mandrakk? She explains to him how she tried her best to prevent this from happening, but Mandrakk is the enemy that's gonna end all of existence if Clark doesn't stop him. And they have to hurry because he's coming. Now that we know the enemy of Superman is, let's see how powerful he is. Mandrakk isn't just some ordinary enemy, he is the ultimate enemy. As the writer puts it in words, Mandrakk is entropy. I suppose no matter how hard you try, you will get consumed by Mandrakk. Which is why when we look into the story, he's literally altering the narrative to destroy. Mandrakk's so evil, it's where the entire plot goes to his side and there's no hope to beat him. Okay, now that we got Mandrakk established, let's head back to the storyline. So Ultraman takes the book and explains how Mandrakk's a god that hates everyone, while reality blitzing missiles are at Limbo destroying it, and Quantum Superman's attempting to contact the Void or the Overvoid. He then explains how the Thought Robot is programmed by symmetries, so the reason why Ultraman is there as Superman is in order to even turn on the robot. But there's obviously more as to why Clark is there, as I've already explained with why the robot even looks like that. So now there's something else I want to bring up. The Thought Robot alone isn't really that powerful. As a matter of fact, when Superman was piloting the Thought Robot and pulled up on Mandrakk, he started getting bodied. What makes Cosmic Armor Superman so powerful is the idea that he has the story of Superman. The Thought Robot was only made to use as a conduit for Superman to fight Mandrakk, because if there was no robot for Superman to get transported into, there's there's no way he's gonna make it to the realm where Mandrakk is residing in, because as discussed, they see him as a literal germ. But the thought robot is still a monitor, so he's still pretty powerful, as he's held Limbo in his fingertip, which means he's holding something greater than the multiverse in his hand because Limbo's above it. He's also felt us breathing on him and felt the story shift. And if you're asking yourself, why is it so important to get Superman to fight Mandrakk? Well, it's not really base Superman fighting Mandrakk and the robot. You know how I mentioned that the power and abilities that the robot uses comes from many other issues? That's because base Superman at times can channel the story of Superman. It's when Superman gets massive hope amps and defeats his enemy. Let's dive into an example of what I mean by that. In Superman Where is the Stee, he was essentially fighting the embodiment of death itself. Superman had no hope, there was no way he could beat this being in base. But out of nowhere, he remembered Lois's name, and just thinking of Lois gave him enough hope in order to defeat this enemy. So although in base he wasn't powerful enough to defeat death, when he had a hope amp in this hopeless situation, he overcame it. Another example is in Avengers of Superman when Clark was fighting beings known as the Hollow Men. The Hollow Men essentially rewrite the plot, and once again Superman in base was getting destroyed. But as soon as he thought of Lois and got hope amped, he somehow overpowered them. So when Superman was in the Thought Robot fighting Mandrakk and he was getting bodied, and as soon as that happens, the monitor starts explaining how they went to Earth to get Superman because getting Superman is what allows them to defeat Mandrakk because of his unstoppable and indestructible story. And after he says Lois, he gets right up, and I kid you not, they literally say the story is inevitably changing to Superman's side. And then Mandrakk and Kaz have a narrative fight off of each of them continuously writing the story to get stronger than each other. But of course, since Cosmic Armor Superman has the story of Superman, he inevitably overpowers his plot manipulation and defeats Mandrakk. And if you're confused what the story of Superman is, it's essentially the notion of, hey, Superman was made to defeat his enemy and to protect people. Okay, him as a concept embodies that idea to its absolute, which is why the writer Grant Morrison tells us that in DC there is a story of a good guy who cannot be defeated. Superman will never lose, and if he does with this story, it's not Superman, which is why even against this plot-consuming demon Mandrakk, he still wins. Cosmic Armor Superman also has, of course, cosmic awareness. He has sensed a heartbeat from a universe that's in the multiverse, in a realm so far beyond the multiverse it's seen as a germ. Cosmic Armor Superman is definitely the strongest Superman, as he's the very idea of Superman, which is why the writer says he always wins. So let's recap this for all of us. No matter how hard you try to destroy him, you will fail. No matter how hard you try to beat him, even if you're manipulating the story, you will inevitably fail. And if you're wondering what happened to Superman and Lois Lane after that, after Mandrakk's defeated, Ultraman and Clark both disconnect from the robot, and somehow Superman holds the bleed and brings it to Lois even though it was stated impossible. The plot cannot get off this guy's dick! Alright guys, that's the Thought Robot, in other words, Cosmic Armor Superman explained. Thank you very much.